Let's make it count.
I must practice tolerance. Next.
GSL Season 2. Renaissance. 2019 Mountain Dew GSL Season 2. Code S. Renaissance.
What's going on, everybody? We're back at the GSL Code S. We're halfway through the round of 32, and we're just cramming through everything right now, Artosis. We had one day off. That was good, but we're back. We're here, and today's going to be excellent.
The one day off felt like a week or two, to be honest.
I would have just preferred to be right down here.
I don't even know what I've been doing for that long without casting some StarCraft 2.
It's a good question. So as you can see, guys, we're going to be moving into Group E here today. We've got already several players advancing. There's been a lot of upsets, though, in this GSL. For instance, Maru, the 4-time in a row GSL Code S champion, was knocked out immediately in Group A, which is crazy. So we're going to have a very different finals this time around.
You're right about that. Today's group is really the group of death, I think. It's pretty crazy how strong this group is. Look at this. Rogue, FanTaSy, Leenock, Stats.
I'm very curious to see how FanTaSy is going to play here today.
I'm just excited to see what the hell happens, because I can absolutely see any two players getting out of this group.
Let's also remember that Stats was actually eliminated in Season 1 of GSL very early on. That was a big surprise.
Yeah. Then he got 3-0'd by Gumiho in the round of 8 of Super Tournament.
That's
so it's
right.
like Stats is not having the time of his life right now.
Certainly not what I'm used to as far as seeing how he plays here. FanTaSy, by the way. If some of you guys just follow StarCraft 2, you might not fully appreciate how scary FanTaSy was in StarCraft 1.
He's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he has been at times been on the complete and total forefront of Terran. Actually, I guess he was really dominating right when I moved out here.
Yeah, he had a long time.
Because the first match I ever saw in Korea was actually him playing. Winning.
Yeah, no, he's kind of a protege of the Terran Bonjour line, and he was kind of the guy that was the closest to Flash as far as Terran went. So,
and of course, he's
monstrous player
going up against Rogue here. Rogue, a former world champion, former IEM Katowice champion.
Yeah, Super Tournament champion, IEM Shanghai champion.
Yes.
Rogue is one of the strongest Zergs in the world. I think generally we value him right around second to Serral. That is, but he hasn't had the greatest times in Code S's specifically. Generally dies right around the round of 8.
Right.
But yeah, you have to consider him a favorite here against FanTaSy, but FanTaSy is a very fascinating player because he's got such a gigantic fan base in StarCraft 1. He was such a legend in StarCraft 1. Yet when he got out of the military, he went to StarCraft 2. And StarCraft 1 in Korea is much bigger than StarCraft 2. So it's a fascinating thing. He prefers the game, I guess, and it seems like he would have an easier transition over to StarCraft 1, but here he is.
Yeah, it goes to show you that different players, the game, different StarCrafts gel with them here. You've got Rain, for instance, also going back to StarCraft 1. I don't know, it's cool stuff. Anyways, guys, this best of 3 is ready to go. Let's do this.
Jin Air Green Wings. Rogue. Player 1, FanTaSy.
Well, what will we have coming out of FanTaSy? Because I have a pretty good idea. I know what we're going to have coming out of Rogue. Pretty standard reactive play is my guess. It's generally how he goes about it. Doesn't do too much cheesy or aggressive stuff. Fantasy fans out in the audience. Everyone would love to see him do well. But this is such a tough group.
Yeah, the competition is very fierce right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Out of all the players that we have in the GSL, one of the ones I'm the most interested in is actually FanTaSy and his future. And can he dominate? Because you do have players who will dominate in one game or one expansion and then kind of get zoned out. But because FanTaSy was so good and so dominant in StarCraft 1, and also on a very intellectual level, I mean, he strategically was very brilliant. He had some very unique build orders he came out with. I do wonder if he's going to become a huge success here in StarCraft 2. Maybe not right away, but eventually, you know. Because he also did not become a huge success immediately in StarCraft 1 either, let's point out. He was actually playing for a long time and then slowly maneuvered up to the top of the best Terrans. And, you know, when you have people doing multiple games, it's very cool to see, okay, you've mastered this game. This other one's very similar to it. Let's see how you do.
Yeah, his overall style in StarCraft 1 is my best guess. Eventually, I'm just going to go down and ask him, but as to why he came to StarCraft 2. But his StarCraft 1 style was actually very much like a StarCraft 2 Terran, where it was very harassment-based, very multi-pronged. And not that you don't do that in StarCraft 1. Obviously, he's one of the most successful ever in StarCraft 1, but it's kind of like the bread and butter of what you do in StarCraft 2. So I was thinking maybe just stylistically, you know, obviously there's other things like he might just like it more or something. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. But so far what we've seen from him, you know, he's very good. Last season he did actually defeat Leenock with Battle Mech, which we haven't seen like a lot of. He kind of popped it out. He was the first one that we saw with the new Cyclone utilize it in that way. So that'll be kind of cool to see if he wants to do something like that here against Rogue.
Yeah. Thing about Rogue is that this is one of the few Zergs that really showed us how elastic this race can be in the super late game. In Rogue's most dominant periods, we would get to these just really awesome scenarios where he was using units in such a way, festers, other stuff like that. It was really cool to see. So when I think of FanTaSy's late game in general, tell me if you have this too, Artosis. I don't really have much of a feel for it. I feel like a lot of the games we've had with FanTaSy haven't gone for that long. Is that right?
Some of his TVZs went relatively long, but he didn't become significantly more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Again, it was mostly like Battle Mech that we saw, where you're kind of sitting on the same unit set for most of it. And
yeah.
We didn't see, you know, excuse me, the spectacular late games that you might see from Innovation or TY or Maru. But he's always been a player that kind of plays his own way, his own style.
So you see the medevac roaming around here. Looks like he's going to try to come in here and drop. And I don't think he's going to do much of anything here. This is kind of funny because he's not unloading. He's kind of like
it's interesting
edging here with this. This is one of the only times I've ever seen a player not immediately come in and unload and then start a fight. He kind of floated over there and then was like, yeah, and he went back out.
Yeah, it is interesting the way that he's kind of approached this, running back and forth. Look, yeah, he'll end up getting the Overlord, but you know, better to fly in and check what's up and leave than just like take a bunch of damage on your units and stuff and waste a bunch of mana healing when you're not going to do anything.
2 more medevacs coming out now, full of tanks here. One of them. I guess he's going to try to pop out somewhere, see if he can't do any damage. This map's kind of funny because I don't feel like there's any real point where you can actually set the tanks up and do any significant damage. Am I not seeing something here?
Well,
this is going to be like the other day where we had the drop inside the Zerg's main that was just killed off. It didn't do anything. It's the same thing again.
It is. Well, this one is a hell of a lot quicker. 2 minutes quicker than the one that we saw the other day. Let's see, I guess. Now, he is playing against specifically Zergling Queen at the moment.
Yeah, actually, when you look at it, just the way this is set up, you know, minerals can't be destroyed at all. So suddenly it's a lot harder to get proper surface area in a position like this. And this is this actually reminds me a lot of his StarCraft 1 TVZ here, where He was always good at kind of wedging small amounts of units into areas that were just hard to get access to.
Well, this is tough for Rogue. He has like a lot of queens and everything. He's not about to lose the hatch, but he's got to do something fantastic with these units. And I don't know, man. Like, he's targeting down some. Well, I thought he was going for medevacs at first. He definitely could gun them down rather quickly at this point. Might be the right move.
Wow, this did so much damage.
8 drones, lots of lings, quite a few queens. And here's the funny part. What he just did almost sells more going bio, but he's actually going mech behind this. He made 3 medevacs and lots of marines. And Rogue did start melee and carapace. He started that well in advance of the factories, so you can't blame him too much for it. But like, that's not the upgrades that you want against mech.
Yeah, this is kind of cool. He's taken that entire unit composition, I think gotten a decent amount of damage out of it. And then he switches right back into mech over here. He's taking his 3rd comfortably. Rogue going up to a 4th now. Zerg always want to pace themselves to be slightly ahead in expansions against the Terran. And we're going to see the Zerg continue to tech up here. I don't think he would have done that drop at all had he not been against purely Queen and Ling. I think that specifically, I think he intuited very well. Okay, I can eke out just so much more damage by setting this up over here. And I think had the Widowmine gotten any more damage, it would have been a lot worse, because that Widowmine, the initial connection with the Lings, was really important there.
Yeah, and some of the splashes pulled in his units, but kind of an interesting way to do it. The 3 medevacs zooming behind the mineral line. I'm not used to seeing a move like that so early on, or at all, really, right now. It's kind of an older move, but it felt fine.
Yeah.
And he's getting right into his mech, right? Like, he's going to have his 1-1 done, and, you know, being a little bit behind Zerg in upgrades here is not the biggest deal, because, again, you're going mech. And it is battle mech that we're going to see.
This is the very mobile mech style, unlike what we see with turtling mech, and that's more of the original mech style, which is you basically siege up and turtle up, and you're trying to get a lot of units later on max out and then roll over them with a lot of damage. This is a style that can absolutely poke in like we're seeing here, and you're really able to compete with map presence here against the Zerg.
Well, the creep is being relayed the moment that these units back out. It should be noted as well that Rogue is going for all the things. He's getting Baneling Speed, Nidus, Hydralisk Den, and Infestation Pit. So if I had to guess here with the Nidus, like, I mean, just about anything could pop out there. Is he going to go Swarm Host, I think is the question. I actually don't think it's right here. Even though we see that Infestation Pit, I think he's got to rush up to Viper reasonably quick. And he can just, because BattleMech has so many units out on the map, maybe the Nidus can just do something with either Lingbane, Hydra, just something popping out. But yeah, even though it's mech, I'm leaning towards no Swarm Host. And yeah, you can see he's making Hydras, so I think that's right.
Another scan comes down here. He's going to take out a few more of these creep tumors. I got to say, Rogue's done a really good job considering how much these Hellions have moved out. The creep is actually incredibly spread out still. In spite of having this really mobile mech opposition to it.
He has been on top of that, hasn't he? No Hive started yet, and we see that FanTaSy has scanned for it multiple times. And I love this. Look at this. He's adding in siege tanks now.
I was about to say that. So he gets the tanks later on. So is this like as he fills in the remainder of his supply, he wants to have some way to push and hit these tanks?
I think that Cyclone Hellion does not scale all that well, because eventually you get so many that they just aren't firing, and you're like fighting with a third of your army versus their army.
It's like the same problem you have with roaches.
It's like if you have a bunch of people with spears set up, you have like 1,000 people with spears in lines, like the first set has to die for the next set fights, right? It's like, well, that doesn't work as well. So, yeah, I think it's good, a very good move to start getting into siege tanks, especially against this composition, and especially since he hasn't started the Hive. Where that Hive at? You need those Vipers.
Yeah, where that Hive at?
Where that Hive
Where that Hive at?
That's what all the kids are saying.
Yeah.
They're wondering. It's important. Tech is important.
The tech is, I mean, the tanks are going to get over here pretty soon, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, they're there. Okay, I didn't see them on the minimap. I was saying they should be out. They're going to have to set up. Now, there's going to be a Nidus network coming through here. And I don't know that FanTaSy actually is aware of this or not. It might be so loud with this battle that he hasn't quite caught on to what's actually happening here.
This is a very micro-intensive set of units, too. The Cyclones don't just fight by themselves, so Looks like he gets it done, but no units have retreated, and we haven't seen any units come out. A lot of Banelings having semi-poor connections there. Quite a few on the siege tanks.
Well, FanTaSy has to make this work from this position here, and I don't know that he's going to be able to do that much more. That was not a particularly impactful moment. You know, Zerg's got so many bases now, and I think as the gases are taken at that pit, they'll be able to make so many more Banes here too. But at the same time, you know, when you have these Banes roll forward, I guess every time you're killing them off, they're not connecting with anything. The Zerg is basically giving up resources in the long run, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't pay it off in any way. That's one of the funny things to note about Baneling specifically is if they don't connect with the targets and they're shot down, you haven't gotten any value out of them.
Yeah.
At all. Unlike a lot of other units where, you know, they at least have attacks that go on and damage is traded.
By the way, I got to give a shout out to the tank behind the rocks on the left. It was the first tank to join the battle. It's got over 30 kills.
Got to give it a shout out.
Got to give it a shout out.
Shout outs to the tank in the back.
Yeah. Tank in the back.
Tank in
You're
the
not
back
the most
over here.
exciting
Yeah.
thing, but you've been
Let me tell you something, that tank does not get enough credit, man.
No, he does not. That tank is like part of the production team. He's producing kills on Zerglings and Banelings nonstop. Look at this.
This is
doesn't
just a
even look
weird
right.
sight. Yeah, this looks all wrong.
It just doesn't even... I feel uncomfortable watching it shoot out Zerglings that quickly.
Well, I think Rogue is doing an excellent job of popping up over and over and over with Niduses and coming out and doing damage. There's nothing here to defend, though, is there?
Well, single file rallied Zerglings into Blue Flame Hellions. Is that good?
Apparently not. Rogue's beginning to rot out the inside of FanTaSy's base here. The natural's
It's like
gone.
a cavity.
He is. No, there's no way to get any more reinforcements here, so the mech that's on the map is going to have to stay out there and keep trying to do something, or it's just not going to... I don't know. I think Rogue might be able to take him out here. Let's see.
And it seems like Rogue has enough bases that he shouldn't be like too afraid or anything. I mean, definitely FanTaSy did damage to him, but let's be fair. FanTaSy has 2 mining bases. He's got an additional one making, and he did save that command center. Look at his workers count. It's at 70. That's really legit. Like that's enough SCVs. You don't need more than that necessarily. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think he's still got a lot to work with actually. Look at this army. It's not scary.
Liberators take it out there. It looks like this hatchery is going to be canceled. FanTaSy, I think in the grand scheme of things, he might have just mapped this out correctly. Even though he took that big loss back there, I think once the damage was done at that natural where FanTaSy was, I don't think Rogue traded very efficiently. And now it seems like FanTaSy just kind of has more. And if he could take this out, this is going to knock FanTaSy back down to 4 bases again. Where I think FanTaSy right now is basically grown to be about the same size as the Zerg as far as map control goes.
Yeah, and I mean, hitting this hatchery is very, very big after killing that other one. You really need at least 4 mining bases and hopefully 5 here as Rogue. Sending over drones to that one. Man, these liberation zones plus the siege tanks really punishing any movements.
Here comes Rogue across the map with a lot of lings doing a great amount of damage there, harpooning some of those cyclones as well.
Yeah, that's a great move against this kind of battle mech, but normally we've seen it much, much earlier than what we're seeing here, right? So I'm just wondering if like this is too slow on the Vipers. He had the infestation pit for quite a while before starting the hive. Oops.
Okay, the Nidus is denied over there.
Does anyone else think that needs more armor?
It's funny because he's actually... Oh, that's cute. Okay, so he's going to set a Nidus up down here. That might be in case he wants to flank. Now, Zerg's also expanding over into the top right side of the map as well.
I love the idea of a flanking Nidus. That would be amazing.
Well, so far, a lot of times these Hydras just... When you see a Hydras trying to chase mech units and they get drawn into tanks and have to run away, the Hydras are going to lose that in the long run.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe having a Nidus where they could hit them from the other side where the tanks might not be covered correctly is a good idea.
I like the idea. I'm on board with you, Tasteless. Let's do it. Let's flank with these Niduses.
He's also just got a big excess of Niduses in general here.
Well, Niduses are like free or you get money for making them. I can't remember.
I believe you get money for making them.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain about it. So cool to see him continually use that. Looks like the Hydras were moving towards the planetary. Decides better of it as the Hellions came up to flank, even though they didn't have a Nidus.
Another nice speed made down here. By the way, we have vehicle weapons level 3 finishing up.
Some very good yanks coming out. It's funny, kind of the attack move way that this comp is used. Like, I see all these blue flame Hellions, but there's still 16 drones there. I'm like, that's not how this is supposed to interact.
Yeah. I don't know that Ro can hold this position. By the way, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I really think FanTaSy is going to win this game, actually, in the long run. And frankly, he looks... You know, I was talking about how great Rogue's endgame is, and, you know, I don't know what to expect from FanTaSy. Well, FanTaSy's bringing it here, man. Well, this is way better than what he showed last season, in my opinion. I think he's got better at the strat, probably better as a player. GG. And all that, too. But, yeah, I think he played this very nicely. Now, to be fair, Rogue thought it was bio. Okay, the initial drop did a lot, that 3 medevac drop behind the minerals that we've never really seen since Wings of Liberty or so. Yeah. That actually ended up doing quite a bit. And, you know, Rogue was getting, like, Zergling upgrades, so he was kind of on the wrong tech, on the wrong side of an early weird drop we don't normally see. Yeah. And then BattleMech came out, which is kind of, so far at least, FanTaSy's forte in this matchup. Okay, we're going to be hopping into game number 2 on Port Alexander. Man, I'm really curious if FanTaSy can pull through and complete the series and get a win, because if you could beat the former world champion, you should be fighting against pretty much anybody, and we've kind of been waiting around for a long time to see if FanTaSy could be as dominant in StarCraft 2 as he was in StarCraft 1. So this would be a lot of fun. Again, though, we've had so many upsets in this season at GSL. Even Rogue just losing this series is a crazy upset in of itself if that ends up happening. Yeah. Rogue is someone I'm always expecting minimum top 8. Okay, game 2 is loaded up. Let's do this. Rogue versus FanTaSy. Game 2, let's go. My hype is building tasteless. That was a fun game. Yes.
Jin Air Green Wings, Rogue.
Wasn't as fun for Rogue, but you should have fun in your losses, Rogue, just like in your wins. That's how you really become good.
Player 1.
I like it when you talk to him like he's there, like he's listening and not responding.
He's so salty. You see how he didn't even look at me when I said that.
Dude, I got a quick question. So I checked Twitter right before we went live, and somebody tweeted that they were on a flight. They were on their airplane on a flight from Germany to the U.S. Okay. They're watching. Can you watch this on? Can you watch on airplanes now? When did that happen?
Internet on airplanes, but I don't think it's. I don't know if
is that only a North America to Europe thing? Because we can't watch anything on our flights from Korea to L.A.
All these people that think they're plane geniuses are like, yeah, you can just watch all the time. No, your stupid flights over the Atlantic Ocean, which is basically a pond. Yeah, a lot of people have internet on that. Us flying from Korea, we never get internet.
Yeah, we never get internet. Why is that? Why is it just? Is the internet just? It's not good on the Pacific. Why?
The Pacific's the real ocean.
Yeah, that's
okay?
real. Yeah.
All the other oceans try to team up against
the Atlantic.
The Pacific.
Is a little beta ocean, is what it is. Yeah.
They barely even have islands compared to us. Yeah. I mean, what do they even try to do with those other oceans?
Well, I want to. But then wait, if you're going to watch this on an airplane. How you have to pay for the data, right? Is that a lot of data to watch a stream?
No,
how does that work?
It's not data. You just pay for internet on the airplane.
Really?
Yeah, you did this once on a plane when we went over the Atlantic. I'm pretty sure.
No, I did not.
I thought you played Hearthstone on an airplane once.
Never done it. I've never played.
Anyways, Tasteless played Hearthstone on an airplane once, and now he's lying about it.
I don't know why you'd lie about this in front of all these people, Tasteless. You should have been playing StarCraft 2 on that flight, Tasteless. But no, I don't know if the internet's good enough, though. Yeah, I wonder.
You maybe hear audio only, but that's tough because he probably wants to mute us, so it's like...
You're on a flight, you're just listening to some kid screaming and banging his hand on the table because he can't get his headshots off in his FPS game because the airline internet is not good enough. So anyways, yeah, I was wondering about that because I did not realize you could actually watch this or anything like that in a flight. So I thought this guy was going to be watching us and having a good time and smiling, and then the airplane takes off and we cut out.
I tried getting the internet on one of those flights once. I don't go over the Atlantic very much.
Yeah.
But normally I just swim it because it's so small. But like sometimes when I have like 2 suitcases, I'm like, just take a flight.
Yeah.
But if my arms are tired, then it's on a plane. So, yeah, no, I don't know if the internet's really quick enough to watch this, but I don't know.
I just wonder about, watching. It never even occurred to me anybody could watch this live on a plane. By the way, we got a layer coming here. It's still just 2 hatches.
2 starports.
Whoa.
2 of them. Oh.
That's not usual. That's not normal.
What are you talking about? That's the normal meta. We see that every day.
Every
twice.
time. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm wondering what this is. I mean, it must be Banshee, right? It has to be Banshee?
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's Vikings. Just a bunch of Vikings fly over there and land and die. We're like, okay, well, now we've seen everything.
The Zerglings just fly up and then they're like, oh no.
They're just running around on the ground and then they just land and die.
They're like, no problem, watch this. And they lift off, but then 7 queens come over and pick them off. It's like, oh, yeah, that was terrible.
So it must be Banshees.
Fusion Core. Oh my God, is it BCs?
I think so. Look at this. What is happening?
I'm so wiggly right now.
I can't believe he wins a game.
Tasteless.
By the way, the Overlord didn't check for more gases there. Yes, Artosis. Oh, and Nidus.
Oh no!
Oh,
don't
no, you're
ruin
going to
it.
ruin it. You're just going to kill him.
Oh, but it's actually, it looks like Swarmhost Nidus. So it's just going to be harassment based. Yeah, the FanTaSy's got this, no problem. Okay, so a 2 BC build, a 2-port BC build. We never see this, man. This is so cool.
The
Overlord
didn't even
see the double gas.
Wait, no, he sees now, though. He sees.
Does he see it now?
He does.
Okay.
But he didn't before. Okay, so we got 3 Swarmhosts come in.
What wins, 3 Swarmhosts or 2 BCs?
Nobody knows. It's still a game of chance. It's too hard to call. The 2 battle cruisers are making. So wait, there's 2 Overlords out of the map. I think the Nidus is going to be hidden in the main, adjacent to the main, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is.
It
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry.
I think it's going to be here, and then it is in case he's like, no, I'm always wrong, never mind.
I've got a lot of confidence issues, guys. Okay.
Okay, so
how does this...
Well, there's no buildings on the right-hand side of the main, so this isn't going to do that much with the first one, I think. But when the BCs are out, there's really nothing to stop them from wrecking.
There's a second Nidus that's just now going to finish up south of the main base. Oh, and there's going to be a third Nidus here.
Oh, that's cool. He's actually covering himself with that. Like, these land so he can get the next Nidus up. Look at that. Look how, oh my gosh, this is such cool play from both sides. Why do we have to see 2 cool strategies go at each other?
I know, they're ruining
One of them's going to look bad.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so...
Oh, he's going to wreck this with BCs. This ain't no thing.
Okay, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to look. I want to see Rogue's face when he... Okay, here come the BCs now. He's like, what?
I hate how they never look different when they see something weird. Look at this. Look at this. And watch this. He is going to kill the Niduses and just appear on the other side of the map.
Okay, yep.
There he is. Hi. Hi.
Oh, my God.
Wrecked. Oh, my God. FanTaSy.
This is going to do so much more damage right away than you can possibly do with the Swarm House. Them having to rinse and repeat the Locust.
Yeah. What are Locusts but bad BCs? That's my question.
Another Nidus is going to pop up over here.
Look at how forward that is. His mother taught him no manners. That was way too forward.
Look at this. The SCVs are going to surround that so that now they can't get back out.
Oh my God, this is so crazy.
This is so insane. Okay, so are there drones mining in the main? I'm actually not sure. There's another battlecruiser popping out. Yeah, I think we're going to see a 2-0 here. This is so crazy.
And with really cool strategies. Really, really cool strategies. The time of
this
FanTaSy
is the coolest
is
game we've had this season.
God.
This is great.
Dude, he's so cool. Don't tell Parting, but I think FanTaSy might be cooler than him.
Okay, is he targeting the hatch with the other battlecruisers up here?
He's not even targeting anything, man. Yeah, I guess he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. I think Rogue is just sitting here processing this loss. This is probably... Yep, that's it. Okay.
Damn.
Great game. Great game. Weird game.
FanTaSy. Leenock right now is planning a loss against Stats to not have to go up against that crap. So that was a pretty greedy BC build. He had like a Reaper and a Hellion and a Marine.
Yeah.
So that was not many units. That was a very greedy, interesting build from FanTaSy. But listen, this guy is
FanTaSy
known
doesn't
for
even
having
look like he
amazing
won.
stuff.
FanTaSy looks like he's setting up his PC to play his match. What's going on?
Well, being such a Brood War legend, he's confused why he hasn't won a GSL yet.
Yeah.
Like, this is like your 3rd one back.
Look at Rogue, too. Man. Just kind of processing this reality. He's going to go to the losers match. Coming up next, guys, we got Leenock versus Stats. You do not want to miss out on that. We will be right back.
Match1.